Welcome back to another episode of Line of Defense Podcast, where we have thought-provoking conversations that may need your line of defense. I'm your host, Quinton Coples, and this is my executive protection opinion, expertise, former NFL player transitioning into the private security sector. Today we have a special episode. We have two guests here today. We have Sensei Ryley.
Cool.
Come on. And we also have Dr. K. Lee.
That would be me. That would be me. Thank you for having us.
We're going to call this episode a production episode because I have two guys that are my production team that makes this show possible, alongside other guys and other women and other talents. We had an episode scheduled with another guest, but at this point, he couldn't make it. And I won't air him out on this episode, but you will know in a future episode exactly who I'm talking about.
Yep.
So this time we're just going to have some fun with my production team, and they're going to do their best to give me the hardest questions and hardest conversations that I've ever had. So give it up for Sensei Ryley and Dr. K. Lee.
Thank you. Let me just say I'm honored to be here as the doctor in the house. Which, and to be honest with you, I'm not a doctor, but I'm the furthest thing from a doctor. I own a company called Follow Up Media, Q. We met months back and started this journey in helping him, provide some educational information, establish. He already is a thought leader, but really wanted to highlight that in a way that is brand aligned with his protection company. And that is how Line of Defense podcast was born, based on his, working defense in the NFL to now, helping defend high net worth individuals, CEOs, entertainers, you name it.
Come on.
Quinton Coples.
Let's go, baby.
It is ready to protect that ass.
Come on. I couldn't have had a better introduction than that. Come on.
So let me do this, because this was kind of completely organic. Spur of the moment. We had to pivot because this is not what the episode and the schedule today had in line for us. But I do think it's going to open up some Q&A between us that would really shed light on, the science behind EP, executive protection, the strategy that you implement in your day-to-day business, that's probably separates you from the rest.
Correct.
And so, I guess for those unfamiliar with executive protection, or EP, not to be confused with ED, okay, begin. Executive protection, versus traditional security.
Right.
Quinton, what's the line? What is it? I know they're two different terms, and obviously they're different syllables, but what is the difference?
Regular security basically is just presence. It's a presence there to kind of redirect any form of threat. That's how I put it. Executive protection is a highly thought out process that provides not only just protection, but it's able to also pivot and do different maneuvers in regards to maybe you need to know where a certain place is or a certain location, how to get there. We do advancement, which is do different routes. We set up different vehicles. Some people want bulletproof cars, some people want a regular car. So we have a lot of more resources than the average security person, which is just there for any type of imminent threat.
More like a deterrent
for sure.
Right. If you're a security guard, and we're not knocking security guards.
We're not.
No. Out front of a bank or a jewelry store, they're just kind of hovering around, watching people come and go, opening the door for somebody. But
correct.
Ultimately, they're not going to. There's not a huge level of strategy because they're not moving. They're kind of in that. He knows where the ins and outs of that building are, and that's essentially what he started.
There's not a certain skill set that comes with hiring an actual security guard. They're more there for employment and to report to the police. There's no discredit in them for that, but EP more so know how to eliminate a threat and also provide security to a venue or an individual itself. And if necessary, we will also report to local authorities.
Is there a difference in approaching, I guess I would probably, common sense would tell me that there's some level of the same. But when you're going to protect an entertainer or an athlete versus protecting like the CEO of a healthcare company,
Correct.
is there a difference? Like, is there like how is there a difference between protecting those or no? Because they're all high value targets, I guess you'd say.
It's not a difference. I think each individual has its own specifics in regards to how they want to be protected. Some people want to be anonymous. They want you to be a presence. So it just depends on the actual client. There are different sectors or scenarios or places that, doctors like to go versus athletes like to go. So you can kind of get a telltale in regards to how that actual detail will go. But for the most part, it's really based off the individual. Some people don't like to be bothered. Some people do like to be bothered. Some people don't even want to know if there was ever a threat. Some people like to know every detail in regards to whether there was a threat, what they did wrong, how they could have did something better. It just depends on the individual, correct?
Gotcha. So, and I guess pointing like, and I know this is might be a question, and I guess it's probably on an individual moral basis. But you look at like all the shit that happened with Diddy, right?
Correct.
And he a very powerful music mogul. Been listening to Bad Boy Records for my life, drinking his vodka. I mean, wearing his clothes. I mean, everything.
Film
Everything, yeah, that's right.
I'll tell you what, man, those Diddy memes though, and all that shit came out. There was just, I mean, it
Oh,
was,
the internet never fails, yeah.
oh no, he always had. He had a probably a somewhat loyal. I would imagine over the years he probably got rid of some, but his security detail. Probably pretty vast, probably led by, a head guy. Is it easy to get trapped into working with somebody that's got all that money? Because, like, obviously, at one part, you're a security.
Right.
You're part of his security. Maybe you're the lead on it.
Right,
But then you're also on the payroll.
correct.
And it's like, I would imagine his team probably did things that, and were brought into things that they might have not have been wanted to be a part of, but
Right.
like, oh, this not paying my damn check.
Correct.
I mean, does that make, I don't know. I guess is that from an industry, and I'm not saying that, I guess is that like a industry wide, I guess, would you see that a lot of EP, like, companies that are in those roles end up giving away? I probably give up my morals. I'll be honest with you.
Sign the dot. He signed the line.
As a man.
He's out of there.
Yeah, I'm sorry,
I'm
guys.
sorry.
My code
I love the
ethics
baby
is
oil.
out the door. But, sorry. But I mean, like, I guess I don't know what I'm really asking. I mean, is that a hard, easy trap to fall into?
Throughout my time in the industry, I've seen a lot of guys fall victim to a lot of the things that their particular client is engaged with. One of the things we do here at Kingsmen Protection is we don't allow our morals and the things that we stand on as an individual to interfere with the business. And what that means is that we don't cooperate in anything that may be immoral or anything that may be against what we believe in. However, we're there for specific jobs. The duty to protect them, the duty to make sure that their environment is safe for whatever situation they may be. Now, I don't think any of what Diddy did in regards to what they're alleging him to do and what they are saying that he has done. But I will say that you will be in situations that may compromise your morals or whatever. However, nothing should interfere with you actually doing your job. Nothing should interfere with you actually protecting the principal.
Right.
And you would just have to, I would say, it depends on how you are as a protector. Do you use therapy or do you use, conversations with different people, your homeboys or your homegirls or things of that nature? Allow that to be your outlet resource. You don't have to name names because a lot of times with high net worth individuals, you sign NDAs, so you don't have to discuss that person individually. You may need an outlet to be able to say what happened and just get it out of your system because there are a lot of dark things that can happen that you are not allowed to speak on in regards to the actual individual, but you're allowed to actually speak on it in regards to experience.
I wonder if there is ever one, and anyone out there so honest with the hiring of executive. Listen, you and I are going to get real close over the years, and you're going to need therapy.
You'd be surprised. Some individuals will give you a heads up that it's going to be a roller coaster, a crazy experience. A lot of contracts and a lot of job opportunities come through third party. And what I mean by that is there's someone B2B or where basically somebody had worked for them, they couldn't do this particular detail, and they may put you on to another detail, somebody who's already been vetted, somebody who's already been trusted, and usually that's how that connection happens when it comes to high net worth individual, because they kind of all run in the same circle.
Right.
And so, or they may catch you out and they see how you protected this person and they want to get your information.
Executive assistants, I mean, they were
Managers,
assistants for this
family.
person, and they
I've had family observe me and reached out. You know, I had a father reach out to me about a particular client, and he just was in contact with me because he saw me on tour with another client, and he was like, "Hey, I want you to represent my daughter. I want to get your contact, get your information," and we built a relationship and went forward from there. So it can happen via a friend, via a manager, via family. You know, you never know. As long as you're doing a good job, you will be seen.
Nowadays, 2025, it's kind of, I wouldn't say accepted, but it's almost normalized as like a man not being that protector, like old school protection. You have a sister, correct?
Right.
That you felt like you were kind of born to protect. Like you can't have a company and not have that in your heart from a young age. Was it the NFL that transitioned you into thinking in that protective like mode mindset, or is it like a family member growing up? What was it?
I think it was just being, so I'm younger than my sister. I was the man of two, well, it was three, me, my mom, and my sister, and me. And although my mom did get remarried later, I do think that there was a time that I felt like I needed to protect her and my sister at all costs. And growing up in the environment that I grew up, I think it's a natural thing for me and people that grow up in those inner city environments and things of that nature, urban environments. It's easy for us to kind of sway to being a protector, sway to having to fight to get out of those situations, those conditions. And so it just naturally came to me. And then I started progressively being an armor bearer in church, and then understanding the security details of that. I always have a conversation with law enforcement.
Right.
And it just kind of progressively grew. And so once I got out of the NFL, I just felt the need to kind of explore that option more and do it at a high level as well.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, that makes total sense.
And Ryley, do you want to ask him, this might be a good time, transition about your lack of rear delts? Do you want to, did Mindy ask you who's lacking rear delts? But, you know, like, since the girl that was in here yesterday tried to give you advice on exercises to build those puppies up.
Well, so
That was her red delts.
Did you squeeze them?
I'm not gonna throw shade. I'm gonna let her think.
Hey, she might have like whipped him out and just, you know.
Well, you got to think that when I'm in the dojo, when I'm being a sensei, I have my sword. That's tricep, bicep. I mean, it's,
For what he don't necessarily need rear delt.
that's right.
That's exactly. It's a good point. Oh, nobody ever thought about it. Did you tell her that?
I did. I was scared of it.
Oh, it was that tight.
Some things are more physically taxing on you, and other things are more mentally taxing on you. And, you know, I would imagine the business you're in is a bit of both. You know, obviously your goal probably on a daily basis isn't to fuck nobody up.
Correct.
Right. You know, and probably to not put your hands on
Right.
people. For you and for any like good either company out there or executive protection agent or protector, executive
There you go.
protector.
Yeah. You go, all works.
Yeah. What do you think is, you know, just a good, healthy thing that you can, how do you condition that? Obviously, you can work out your body, right?
Yeah, no, I think it's a very great question. I think it depends on the individual, but some just, you know, foundational, fundamental things that you could do. Obviously, train cardio. I think will increase your heart rate. It'll allow you to actually be able to make a decisive decision and be on point with exactly what you want to accomplish in that event and whatnot. So increasing your heart rate, being healthy. So I think anywhere between 15 to a good healthy 25% body fat is okay. I would say try to stay anywhere between 15 and 20. But I've seen some good guys that's 25% and that's still in fairly good shape. That will be another factor that I think is very important that's get overlooked in this industry. Muscle wise, I'm cool with you being as strong as you possibly can, but I think that there's mobility that has to come with that. For example, if somebody jumps on stage or, somebody breaches a barrier, you being the strongest person in the room might not be beneficial because you can't bend, and these people are going to try their best to do whatever they can to get to the principal. So, just being strong enough, once you grab them, that's when strength will come into place.
Wow.
But if you can't grab them, then you get juked and you fall on your face and now your initially high.
And now you're
And to be a damn turtle and you can't. Those type of situations, and now they don't see, one that got through, so now the other 10 that was watching to see if it was going to happen, now they running. So you don't want to be in that situation where you just overly strong and steroid out is what I call it.
Yeah.
As far as mental, I always say I'm a man of faith, so I always pray first and foremost prior to you doing that detail and post detail. And then outside of that, meditation works. But I find it hard for a lot of men because we're thinkers, we're doers. And so it's hard for men to actually just sit in one place and just let their mind escape them. I'm not against meditation. However, I do find it more valuable when a man is able to actually physically exert that out, whether that's through training or whether that's through boxing, whether that's through CrossFit, jiu-jitsu, however that may be. I feel like that's a little bit more therapeutic and more releasing than the actual meditation.
So I have a story.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you, and it was something that it was an achievement for me, and it was and it actually there are actors like Leonardo DiCaprio who could not complete this task,
Correct.
and I was cast for a low budget, just campy horror movie. It was just
But it was a budget though, so that's good.
Well,
We'll take that.
but it was low, low. It wasn't blockbuster porn.
Hey, we take all budgets.
He got access to the snack
Come
table.
on.
So actually, there was actually no food services.
No.
So, but I have been on set where there was food services, but
Too much food.
So,
Yeah.
so I was playing a guy
Uh-oh.
that was feeding lines to this maniac, psychotic, just it was the dude who played Jason in Friday the 13th.
Okay.
In the I think from part 2 to part 8. He looks like a maniac.
Okay.
Anyway, and I was gonna piss him off. I was gonna laugh at him. He was gonna pick up this camera and he was gonna smash my head in with this fucking camera, and blood was gonna squirt.
Okay.
So they had to make a cast of my face.
Yeah.
So meaning they had to tape this plaster and pour it,
Suffocate you.
literally suffocate you. So first they put this thing to pull your hair back, and so it's all flat, and then they put literally this stuff. You feel it just, and so you've got a little straw, like just the nose holes, like just 2 little straws. Your mouth, just everything is sealed, and it's crazy because as they're putting it on you, and they're like, "Give me thumbs up if you're good. Give me thumbs down if you need to come out this thing," because it takes like 35, 40 minutes to cure. So if you are sitting there and as the stuff goes over your ears, you can hear everybody, like you can hear me now,
Right.
but everything starts to become so faint in the distance. So even the talk seems like it's really far away, and you can't move your face because you can't make a facial expression. You just have to sit there and get into, I don't even know what it was. I guess meditation of some sort, but I mean, you have no senses about you anymore. Like everything is taken away. And so it was, and the reason I say this, because it was almost like an out-of-body experience. And long story short, you might say, good story, don't ever tell anybody. But after about 40, probably 25, 30 minutes, they did a check-in with me because I literally had zoned out to a place where, and they were like, Khristian or Dr. K. Lee.
Yeah.
Dr. K. Lee.
More.
And I didn't even respond. And they're like, Dr. K. Lee, right? Is this guy dead? Like what? And it took me it was almost like 20 seconds delayed. And I'm like, but I'm good.
Right.
But man, it was, and they were like, most actors even can't get through it because it's claustrophobic.
Yeah,
Like,
sure.
you're free, but it's, And I say that because that was the most detached, I think, of mind-wise, like, that I had, like, it was a conditioning that I almost want to do again because it was like,
It's like a high almost.
I was about to say there.
I mean, I almost feel like the detaching like that on a day, like, would help everyone's mental state,
Yeah.
like, to a level. Now, most of us can't unplug to do that. Anyway, good story. We could take that out if it wasn't worth it.
No, I think it's good. I think because as a protector, you're kind of somebody else in this sense. You're not actually who you are. Like when you see me on detail versus who I am now, it's totally different. And so I think you have to be that way because you're not just walking or strolling down, a street or inside a workplace. You're actually there to protect. And so you have to be a lot more alert. You have to be a lot more on point in regards to assessing threats. You have to take in consideration that this person may not look like a threat and become a threat. And you have to be able to be in a ready position to be able to respond to that at all times, not which day on, when you're off. It's at all times. And if you're not that way and you're just relaxing and you're comfortable, this is when danger is most likely to happen.
You just inspire me. Have you ever seen any of the Jason Bourne movies?
Yes.
Okay, so there is a scene when I think Jason Bourne is in a coffee shop and somebody asks him a question and he rattles off like 20 details that he just, now granted, this is a movie,
Right.
but I would imagine when you walk into any place, you are picking up and registering things in your mind.
Right.
Or when you pull up that, I mean, my oblivious ass, I probably walk right past the dude with the knife that's standing in the door. Yeah. Hey, have a good day, sir. I'll walk right in.
I mean, this place has no security, so you're telling me you would do it.
I really think that's what separates you
What are
guys.
you talking about, man? We have cameras.
You got cameras, you got surveillance, you don't have security. That's cool.
Well, but like, what kind of, are you exposing, or what kind of security should I have here?
It's not if you need it, it's when you need it.
From just talking with you and some of your guys, I really think that's what sets you guys apart, is the mental and physical. You could be the biggest dude in the room and be intimidating, but if someone really wants to harm someone,
Correct.
You got to have that mental capacity of, right, I could really hurt this person, but I'm here for a specific reason. I'm getting paid to do this, and I really do think that
The size of a person does not matter.
No,
Comes
not at all.
for her.
Yeah, it's not a size industry. I've seen some of the biggest get knocked out and leave their principal very vulnerable.
Yeah.
So it's not about that. It's a skill set, and that's kind of the difference between EP and security. Security, you kind of got the presence, the body presence to deter a threat based off physicality. But in regards to EP, actually knowing how to respond to that situation and not necessarily always violent, but also understand how to get away. Like when I come in, I know exactly how many exits. I know how I'm gonna get out. If this exit is blocked off, where the next exit is, who I need to contact, who I need to come contact with in the event of something happen.
Right.
Have I met with the event staff, the building staff, the janitor, whoever? Like you never know because you may be in a hostage situation where you be locked in and you got to respond accordingly. It's not just, oh, he got a gun or he keeping me hostage and I just get to do whatever I want. This ain't a movie. Like you got to actually understand how to eliminate the threat. What way can you do that legally? Because that's another thing is the law doesn't respect the superheroes no more. It's all for the bad guys, and then you become a villain because you had to eliminate a threat that was imposing their will on us. So it's one of those things where you have to process and calculate these things in real time in a short amount of time while also protecting either your principal or the asset.
So that, and I know we've talked because we have a lot of banter off camera, and we chat, and things actually come up very organically. Sometimes when the mics are off and we're like, oh, that's good. We need to talk about that next time. And I think Ryley, or I don't remember how it happened, like last session that you guys started talking about that, maintaining your cool. Like for instance, someone walks up, you're standing there protecting your client or the asset and slaps you across the face like a bitch.
Right.
Yeah.
Just pimp slaps you right here in front of everyone. Your first instinct, or my first instinct would be to, I'm going to pound this dude into the ground or whoever they are.
Right.
And then you kind of brought some insight to that situation that I was like, oh yeah, you can't. Yes, sir. Explode. Like, because they might not be the threat. They might be the decoy to the threat
Correct.
that is to your client or your. And so, if you could talk a little bit about, I hope I didn't give too much because I'm
No, you're good. Yeah, no. So emotional intelligence, which is a strong suit for me and some of the men that works for me here in Kingsmen Protection. We are able to actually not even just take that slap, but a real agent or real guard will be able to defend itself. So I can block that slap from actually happening if I'm because this is what I'm paying attention. I'm paying attention to social cues. I'm paying attention to environment. I'm paying attention to different threat levels. Now, if you're closing in on 5, 10 feet of my space, then you become a threat. My intensity increases because I'm seeing that you're getting closer and closer. Also, I think what's really most important about what we do here at Kingsmen Protection is that we allow conversation to be had in regards to who the person that we're protecting. So in the event that someone slaps me, let's just use this example for explanation.
Can I paint the picture?
No,
Comes walking or a fat foot. Go, oh, in your brain, you're going, oh shit, this guy's about to unload the weakest slap I've ever.
Easy. Yeah, but a slap is a slap, and it could be, like you said earlier, it could be a deterrent in regards to someone trying to capture your principal or capture the protect asset, and so you have to be prepared for that. But what I was saying is, I think that what we do best is we have conversations with our clients, and we help them understand, like in the event that we have these type of situations, what to do. So a good telltale that I say, one of my clients, if that situation was to ever happen, she would grab my belt and we would get to a safe location. There's other tactics and different ways that you can go about this, but that way she's always connected to me. I get her to a safe location and we go away from the threat. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't handle the threat, but we handle the threat appropriately. And if that threat continues to follow us and I get my principal to a safe location, then now we could talk about how we're going to eliminate the threat. But in regards to just emotionally responding to a situation based off someone being able to contact you physically or try to cause physical harm on you, you can't never leave the asset. You don't never neglect your asset for an emotional reason. Now, the slap is embarrassing, but the slap isn't deadly. The slap isn't, sending you to the hospital or anything of that nature. It's just a more of an emotional reaction of, I just got slapped in front of thousands of people. I just got slapped in front of X amount of people. And your emotions rise and you thinking, hey, I got to defend myself. But in regards to you defending yourself, no one's protecting the asset. No one's protecting the principal. So while you over there getting your macho points, your asset and your principal may be gone when you turn around, and then you're responsible in regards to what happens to them from the time they was in your sight to the time that you retrieve them.
I don't think there's any better example of getting slapped than Chris Rock and Will Smith. And Chris Rock, the way he handled, and I think Dave Chappelle even shined light on, like, he was like, he didn't respond or react because he didn't fuck anything up in his life. Now, embarrassing, whether Will Smith would whoop Chris Rock's ass, regardless. I mean, I'm fucking shit. I'm gonna have a fight, but that being said, his emotional intelligence in that moment.
Yeah, I think it was more in shock than it is like him actually, and this is my opinion. I don't know Chris Rock, but what I was saying, I think that was more in shock that it actually happened versus him actually being prepared to um, respond appropriately. Whoever was his detail, which a lot of times when you go to these red carpet events, they have these strict rules where it's like, if you're not the actual client, you're very limited into how you move because it's such a prestige event and whatnot. But for me personally, there's no way Will Smith makes it to that stage.
your everyday life, does that transition? Like, does your mind automatically in like work mode, or would you react kind of like how? Is your mindset still at work, or is it?
Well, I actually have a business, so I'm more on 24/7 versus working for somebody where you just kind of put on your uniform and when you got the uniform or you're that person. I'm always looking for, threats, and I'm also figuring out solutions in regards to how to respond to a high level, high intense event. and then I work my way down. So high intensity, medium, low intensity, I work my way down. So when I go to the grocery store, yes, I'm there to get groceries,
Right.
but I'm also looking at, okay, cool, somebody come in here, stick up this grocery store. Where do I go?
Yeah.
Who's actually vulnerable in this situation?
Makes sense.
How do I proceed in regards to eliminating this threat?
Yeah.
Is there anybody else in here with a gun that may see me as the thing? Because when they got down on their knees, they was, they heard the noise, and then they got down on their knees and they balled up, and then they had this courage. They're like, oh, I got a gun on my waist or firearm on my waist. Now I can jump into action. Well, you never saw the threat. So once I eliminate the threat,
Yeah.
and you get up and now you ready to be a superhero, you see me with my firearm, you may fire on me. You know what I mean? And you may shoot me because you thought that it was me versus the guy that I already eliminated. I look at all those things. I always find the surveillance, the security cameras. I do a personal evaluation of the managers and things of that nature. People who are more like in shape or whatever, there's no fat shaming or thing like that, but they're more likely to actually
Action.
take action.
Wow.
So with the like high prestige red carpet, going back to Chris Rockwell's evidence. So if you were protecting Chris Rock, now granted, some things are skits. And the way Will Smith, that whole thing unrolled out when you first, before the slap even happened, you think, oh, this is just part of a skit.
Right.
Would that be already rehearsed if it was?
If it's a skit,
Well, if it was kind of like,
if it's
it
already,
was like-
if it's
like,
if it was a part of the program, yes. The difference between that situation, how I viewed it from a protector perspective, is the warning was keep my wife's name out your mouth. That was the warning. So now Will is on my radar as a threat now to Chris. If I'm protecting Chris, now he's a threat to him because he done yelled in front of everybody. It's like if I say fire right now, you don't just say, oh, he just said fire. You like, hey, there's a fire somewhere.
Right.
And now you way more alert than you were. You just said, hey, he just said, there's a guy that just said fire.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that was the warning of like, hey, I'm already there. I just haven't made that move yet. I'm already the threat assessment. Somebody who is trying to get close. So maybe they started at 25 feet. And then you're looking around in the crowd and you just scanning the crowd and you see them get 20 feet. You can just scan in the crowd. Now they 5 feet. This person isn't just, here. They're either trying to get to, it could be something as simple as a picture and an autograph. However, they don't already broke the barrier of the 10-foot rule.
Do you ever get to where you're like, exactly the scenario that you just talked about? You looked, there, you stay in the crowd, you look back, you do it again, and they are almost on you, and you are about to just, and then the husband comes out of nowhere and goes, hey!
Always family.
Because they're like, the person's directly behind you, but maybe you didn't see, and they're like, come on, hurry.
So, it's funny because I have a client that has like a big family, and you don't get you kind of do your research and you kind of talk to them about the immediate family, but you don't talk about the first cousin, or the uncle, or nothing like that. So when you're in these, and so when you're in situations, where it's like, no. So me, I always tell my, my clients, and I also tell the men that work for me, I'd rather be wrong and right than to be right and wrong. You know what I mean? And so what that means is I would rather stop this person and question them before allowing them access and then be the wrong person.
Right.
Because you never know.
You never know. You know what I mean? And I'd rather be that person that was, wrong but right, and then to be right than wrong.
You ask for forgiveness rather than permission. Like, so it's like,
but I'm doing what I'm hired to do.
No, right.
I'm not. So it's not even necessarily I need to apologize. It's just I don't know you. You're looking for someone that can, it's not my job to, like I said, this particular client has a huge family. Like there's like a family of 7, and then they got kids, and they married, and then they got wives, and then they family come together, and then you got the husband family that comes with that. Like it's not my job to be able to, decipher that you're this guy. And just because you make it backstage doesn't mean that you're actually family.
Right.
Because I've been in situations where a fan has figured out how to finesse their way backstage. or whatever, and so you just don't know. And that is the craziest part about those type of situations, because you will run into them. And then they also, you got to think about family and friends that's in the industry as well, or the entertainment business as well, and then their kids see you and see the client, you know what I mean? And it's like, oh, auntie or uncle, and it's like, oh, I'm sorry. And then they have an entitlement because they are, not to say this is a situation, but they're Jamie Foxx's nephew. Well, you can't say no to Jamie Foxx's nephew or whatever, Chris Brown nephew or whatever. Like, you just can't say no.
Oh, yeah.
They feel that way. And so you have to kind of probably help them understand, like, hey, listen, this is a private area, and I understand that you know this person, but at this time, I would let her know that you're outside, and then she'll come out and get you.
I have one more question, and I think this segment is actually, I hope you're having fun because
I'm enjoying myself.
so because I have like 1,000 questions.
I'm with you.
But I think we should probably, like, I want to ask one more.
Okay.
And we can wrap this. And I think if you like this, and as we launch the podcast here and the video version as well in the next few weeks, we can revisit this on, once every couple months or whatever. And I think it's very valuable from a thought leadership standpoint, and you really getting to break down current events and things that happen, because obviously there are tragedies that happen with assassinations, unfortunately, and really things on a daily basis in the news that, expose certain security failures that, you definitely will have some takes on. But because of social media, celebrity, content creator, influencer, whatever you want to call these people. Do you ever have clients that are like, that expose themselves in a way on social media where you're like, listen, I know I'm responsible for your immediate presence, but you are leaving yourself vulnerable, because you've heard about it over the years. Like, these celebrities are like bragging, they're in Vegas, throwing it up for this album release. And meanwhile, they're ransacking their Hollywood Beverly Hills home because they know they ain't there.
Yeah.
So it's like, do you ever like see that, does that register with you and go, hey, listen, we don't have as big of a security detail at the house as probably should? And a lot of these high value people might have multiple homes.
Correct.
And so are all of them protected 24/7? I mean, I would imagine if they're big, there's probably a staff that takes care of that home, but still, I would say more times than not, you hear sometimes these celebrities don't even have their alarm system on. And people are in there taking all their Louis bags and a bunch of shit that really doesn't mean anything at the end of the day, other to the materialistic shit to that person. But do you ever see that, like, and have to go, hey, I think, I don't think we should be posting this, or we should not be sharing where exactly we are at. We should, it's the strategy always, unless it's like the red carpet, share after the event. Like, because you're home, you're back home already. Like, you're not real time. Find me on, I'm not in the vicinity to where, people can, is that the smarter play? Is that like
that is a good point or a reference in regards to how to approach that situation. The thing with posting is, I always try to tell my clients, hey, I don't care if you post, it's about how you post. Now, I wouldn't go live and say I'm here if I don't have anybody at home, or if my house has been exposed by some influencer that goes around and finds all the celebrity houses and posts it and talks about how many bedrooms and things like that's been already exposed. Then I wouldn't go live and say that I'm here or I'm there. Because even live, sometimes you can manipulate that. Like, you could say I'm live, but you're not actually live.
It's reposted, but
it's reposted, but it appears to be live. So that's one aspect. And then if, say, you are in New York, or you are in Manhattan and you're shopping, or whatever the situation may be, you posting it isn't necessarily an issue. It's the fact that if you're telling them that you're there. Because if you just post it, it's not telling me that you're there. It's just saying that you have obtained an experience, you've done this bag or this type of thing. You just want to let that right. But when you go and you say, hey, I'm outside Saxville doing this, or I'm this, I'm loud this, I'm getting on the floor.
You don't want to check in.
You don't want to allow them to actually have the type of detail that says I'm not home, because now they have what I call reason to be a thief. You know what I mean? Because it's like, hey, you've let me know that you're out of town. So now I have amount of time. I have time to actually plan this out versus me sporadically popping up and eventually getting caught.
Yeah, I mean, like I would have to think that celebrity, and of course that comes with celebrity, I guess, but high net worth CEOs. We could talk about executives as well, because they are in their own right a celebrity.
Right.
The CEO of a Fortune 5, the CEO of Apple,
Right.
whether, he's like, he doesn't have paparazzi following him, and no one cares what he's wearing, but he is a big deal. And so, obviously there are a lot of people that would love a free ride and taking what he has,
Right.
because they know he's got money, and people don't really care
Yeah.
what if he's. They see a vulnerability and they'll execute on it.
Absolutely. Like, if they have the opportunity to, then they will. But I like to tell people now that it's kind of upgraded. The theft and robbery game is kind of upgraded to now scamming, which is, I think, just recorded to be a $1 trillion industry. So it's one of those things where I try to tell them to make sure that they, they got a VPN or they got some type of layer of security to be able to protect themselves virtually. More so because those assets are a lot more valuable than a Louis bag or some shoes or things of that nature.
Don't touch my crypto.
They say, which is a more, a asset that's actually turning over and making you money, and it impacts your income.
Well, man, I think that was a solid, insight for today. And like I said, I got 500 more questions for you, Doyer, and probably 2 more for Ryley about his Lululemon collection.
Or even
and
get
his-
the viewers to comment questions they want.
Yes, and add to Dr. Lee's questionnaire. Like, you can send him some questions in the comment, answer some of the questions, give your response in regards to some of the things that I said. If you think that you have a better idea, I'm always open to learn, and we can discuss it.
And yeah, and for Kingsmen Protection and the Line of Defense podcast, well, we have a pretty good roster of interviews that will be in the future.
Correct.
We want to engage.
Right.
And, we want you to engage with Q, engage with follow-up media if needed, but, respond Q's got a very unique story, and he's got a unique set of skills.
Right.
And that, he is ready to dish out and a lot of insight, and, somebody who played defense and then, kind of been really recreating your next chapter out of the NFL.
Correct.
And still using the skills and the things you studied for years on the defense, playing defense.
Right.
And are now applying that to a different type of defense outside of the NFL is brilliant. And it's awesome. And it's like, while you're not, I guess it could still be a game to you still do it mentally.
Simulation.
Yeah, right. And we're in the matrix.
We're in the matrix.
But no, thank you for joining. And Q, once again, thank you for letting Follow Up Media help support your mission and your stories. And we'll continue to do so.
Yeah, man. Thank you guys for joining another episode of Line of Defense podcast, where we have thought-provoking conversation that may need your line of defense. Until next time, peace.